Hey, you made it. Come on in and join me where I share stories about my reluctant and courageous journey into understanding my emotions. I'm Angela, and this is me making sense of myself. I'm super glad you're here. If you haven't done so yet, hit the subscribe button so you can follow the adventure as it unfolds. And if you love this podcast, share it with your friends. This week's topic was about why is being bored a good thing for creativity? In the first video, I talked about a time when it was hard to get through boredom. In the next video, I talked about a time I realized boredom was a good thing. In the third video, I focused on a time it was easier to be bored because I knew creativity would show up. Then we meditated, and in this video that I lovingly call the Friday or the Friday Ditty, I'm going to share with you a parable about this week's topic. Why is being bored a good thing for creativity, along with explaining what happened inside of me. So, let's get to it. Once upon a time in a bustling village, there lived a young girl named Lily. She was known for her vibrant imagination and her ability to create beauty from the simplest of things. One day, the village faced a severe drought, and the once lush fields turned barren, leaving everyone in despair. However, undeterred by the grim situation, Lily spent her days sitting by the dry riverbed, seemingly lost in her thoughts. Curious, the villagers approached Lily, asking her why she would waste her time in such a desolate place. Lily simply smiled and replied, "In boredom, I find my inspiration. When my mind is still, my creativity flows freely, showing me the beauty that can be born from this barren land." Weeks passed, and to everyone's amazement, Lily's creativity flourished. She transformed the surrounding clay into intricate pottery, the dried flowers into mesmerizing artwork, and the silence of the drought into poetry that uplifted the spirits of the entire village. Witnessing the transformation brought by Lily's creativity, the villagers realized that boredom was not a curse, but a gift waiting to be unwrapped. From that day on, they embraced the stillness of the drought, finding inspiration in the quiet moments as they eagerly awaited the spark of creativity that would ignite their world once more. Oh, just like creativity, boredom is not an emotion we always want to sit with, and yet it has great purpose. Creativity or boredom can be the catalyst to creativity, like it talked about in the parable. And when our brains aren't focused on a specific task, our brain has the ability to wander around and explore new ideas, which means it can then make those unexpected connections. Another thing boredom is really great at is problem solving. It can stimulate problem solving, giving your brain a chance to explore and investigate new possibilities. So I think boredom is that place where we get to sit in that place of the unknown, what's possible. I mean, so many things are possible. Now, I personally do a lot of self-reflection when I'm bored, and it helps me to understand myself better. Maybe why I did what I did. Sometimes when I'm bored, I try to just let my thoughts wander. And when I say wander, what I mean is like to be still, like for me to be still and let the thoughts do what they're going to do. And surprisingly, that helps me understand myself better. Now, you might not like this, but it's important. It gives us a chance to confront and manage our emotions. And by doing that, we can become more resilient. So when things get hard or they're busy, if we sit in boredom for a little bit with our emotions, it can help us better understand what we're doing, what's important to us, what's not important to us, things like that. Being bored can also help you appreciate old things as new, especially if you've been busy or distracted. And, I always like to just every once in a while walk around as if everything is new. And, I might be bored right before I do that. But for me, it's helpful. It's really important. The other thing is you can build patience and tolerance. And by doing that, you can get better at delaying rewards, which can lead to longer term benefits. So for me, I see a tremendous amount of benefits in being bored. And I also see a tremendous amount of benefits in being creative. But I can't always be creative and I can't always be bored. It's almost like I have to go on this like through the rolling hills of boredom and creativity. So let's talk about creativity. Creativity is linked with the ability to generate innovative solutions. Wow, I sound intelligent saying that. So because creativity allows us to see things differently, right? Like a different perspective. It also gives us adaptability when things are changing. If we're creative, we might notice that things are always changing, so now it's not as big of a difference. Sometimes I purposefully change things up in my day just to be okay with things changing because our brains really love predictability, and that's not how this world works. It is super unpredictable. The other thing it can help with is memory, attention, processing speeds, things like that. Also, and this was really surprising to me, by that like people who are creative have the ability to express complex emotions and communicate them in meaningful ways. And I like to think about this. Most of the artists I know are very in touch with their emotions. And at first, if you're not, at least for me, if you're not used to talking about emotion or you're not used to engaging with emotion, it can actually be a little scary. But these people have so much wisdom. And I'm learning that every emotion holds within it a whole bunch of other emotions, which I just think is really cool. And also, I don't know if it was I believe it was in How Emotions Are Made by Lisa Feldman Barrett. She talks about creating words for emotions that aren't available or that we don't usually have in our current language. I think she used an example of in the USA, we adopted Schadenfreude, however you say that word, like that satisfaction at someone else's misfortune. But I think I was saying to someone, Spiegel, the loss of a dog, the feeling that I have, like I was trying to make up a word of having lost an animal. Because there's something very specific in the loss of an animal that you love. So, creating words for those complex emotions is actually really helpful, and it denotes emotional intelligence. So, creativity is also valuable any place innovation needs to happen, which is everywhere in our world today, especially as it is changing so fast. Creativity can relieve stress. I know it does for me. Sometimes I just need to go think about things differently. For me, I do a lot of thinking since my hands don't work right. And for me, it's putting together ideas that don't, maybe to other people that don't make sense, or trying them out in my mind and seeing if they work. And if they do, then I get to go share them with other people. And sometimes they look at me like I'm a little crazy, but that's okay. I'm just creative. I can handle it. The other thing is, and I remember having a caregiver that did this, she was really great at identifying the problems because, specifically what the problem is. Like, we might know there's a problem, but knowing that there's a problem and being able to determine where that problem comes from, identifying the beginning of the problem or where the failure happens is actually super cool. And I hadn't even realized that it took creativity, but for me, knowing that I have someone on my team that can do that is really important to me. The other thing that creatives are really great at is being open to diverse ideas and receptive to feedback. And because they're open to diverse ideas and they're receptive to feedback, it makes them great team players. So we definitely want creative people on our team. And one of the other things I want to point out is that being creative is taking risks. After all, creativity is not about doing things the same way. It's about doing them differently. It's not about doing them the same as other people do it. So, creativity is just beautiful. So I think that's one of those things I want to make sure to look for in the people that are on my team. In closing, when I'm feeling bored, it's like my mind hits the wall, but I've learned to embrace it, and that's not all. I've found that in those moments when stillness prevails, my brain gets a breather and inspiration unveils. From switching up books to pondering crazy combinations, boredom can ignite our imaginations. Like, share, comment below. Let me know what topics you'd like me to explore next. Remember to subscribe to Me Making Sense of Myself for weekly doses of inspiration and self-discovery. If you have a question, send it over. I'll answer it. Let's do this together. I'm Angela, and this is me making sense of myself.